Call the meeting to order at 5:33 p.m. Item number 2, public comment. Raquel, do we have anyone on public?
We have one attendee.
Do they have their hands raised?
That's Zach with
No.
Gilbane.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You can, if you don't mind, if you can actually promote him to the panel.
Zach, are you in? Yep, I see him.
I'm in.
Good, excellent. Moving on to item number 3, approval of prior minutes of April 7th, 2025. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Woody. Do we have a second? Thank you, Sharon. All in favor?
Aye.
It was a tie, I think. We'll give it a tie. Seeing no old business, moving to new business. Architects review. I see Justin's with us. Justin, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. So in your packet that Adam sent out on Friday is our most recent construction administration summary. So I'll just go over the high levels. New construction RFIs in the last 14 days or since we last met consist of 5 for a total of 380. New submittals are a total of 3 in the last 14 days for a total of 859. We have received a couple of PCOs that we're reviewing. One will be able to go over relative to a correction to some exterior door closers that we, through the RFI process, responded that those in fact should be mounted on the interior side of the door. So when we get into the PCO review, there is a cost that's associated with those. You do have an application for payment this evening to approve application for payment number 13 that's been reviewed by the project team. Overall, the project team has continued to participate in site visits and our weekly OAC meetings. Construction is going very well out there. As items come up, as we're nearing the finish line, we're kind of trying to expedite the resolution to some of the issues. So the good news is the project team continues to work well with Colliers and Gilbane in order to make sure that we're identifying long lead items or potential issues and responding to them appropriately. On the FF&E front, most recently we had our pre-installation walkthrough last week, where we had the primary vendor, Meteor, is handling the bulk of the FF&E delivery. So we had them out in the field to meet with Gilbane, go over sequencing, go over access and logistics for that delivery. So those meetings have happened both for the FF&E, but also the playscapes. So everything's coalescing into a delivery early in the summer for us to be able to get everything in the building and still allow for some time for owner move-in and kind of baselining of the building and being able to get our teachers in advance of the students coming in the fall. So all good news to report. And I'm sure you'll see enough from Gilbane's update to reinforce that, but everything's going well out on the site. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Hopefully my mic was on.
Was.
Beautiful. Nice succinct update. Thank you. If there's no questions for Justin, I'll move it over to CM update. Bob?
All right. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just want to start off with a little bit of sad news, at least to me. This is going to be my last SBC update for this project. I'm actually leaving Gilbane for a career advancement opportunity. So starting next meeting, Zach Federowitz, he'll be taking over this update. Zach has been with us on the project since back about September. So he's been through vast majority of the job operating in the background. He's part of the team that Justin and I and Adam always talk about with rave reviews. So he's no stranger to the project. And he'll be continuing on with Nick, kind of stepping up. We've actually brought in another staff member as well. So we have a new assistant to Zach who started today. So he'll be on through the project completion and project close at all as well. So just wanted to kind of start off with that and introduce Zach, and then jump into my update here.
Yeah, well, you'll be very much missed, but good luck with your future endeavors, as they say. I'm sure you'll do a great job wherever you end up.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Zach, you want to maybe just jump on and just introduce yourself a little bit and say hello to everybody?
Yeah, sure. Zach Fedorowicz. I know I've seen a few of you in person, but I've been with Gilbane for 5 years now, and I'm looking forward to helping the team get this across the finish line this May. So happy to be working with everyone in transition for Rob and helping out Nick and Justin and the rest of the team get this across the finish line this May, and hopefully an early delivery with no hiccups this summer, getting furniture and the rest of the vendors on site and in the building.
Great, thank you. And now you have somebody to blame if there is anything wrong. So that's always,
Exactly. I'll just say it was Rob's fault, and we'll move on.
exactly. It's easy.
In about 2 weeks, I'm going to be the worst employee Gilbane ever had.
Well, he was okay when he was sober, but that wasn't often, right?
You get 2 weeks to blame Rob. After 2 weeks, you can blame me.
Got it. Got it. Okay, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
All right, let me go ahead, share. I'm going to show you drone updates from just last week. Give me 1 second for this to load. All right. So a little different approach this month, but what I wanted to kind of show you is the time lapse. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. This is actually as of over a month ago. This is showing us what it looks like in March 12th. So you can sort of see, you can kind of get a semblance of what's going on. But as I pull this over, and I'll stop as we go. But what you'll start seeing, even if I just stop here, is you can see the progress we made with establishing all the flat work around the playground area on the west. You can see the work. If I zoomed in, you can see we started the curbing along Mungertown Road. And then part of that change order discussion last building committee at the beginning of April, we actually did go down and we're able to take out the trees along Mungertown Road. So those are now removed. Our next step in progress along the road will be to go and actually install the sidewalk and then clean up the site where those stumps were and some of the debris along the road is. So that's kind of the next major step out on Mungertown. And then we'll wrap that up with paving in probably mid towards the end of second half of May. What's impressive here is you can see we paved the north side of the lot. So this is a big milestone. This is only the binder course. We do have to finish pave this, but you can see how we went through, and as I pull, you'll see we even got down and paved the lower playground as well, the west playground. But just wanted to point out the curbing and the sidewalks that are in process, all here at the south end as well. And I'll try to zoom in. Hopefully it doesn't get glitchy. But you can see here, nice break, how we actually installed the metal roofing and the canopies. So at this point, we're in like kind of the wrap up finishing touches on the exterior of the building, between finishing up these metal canopies and finishing up the gutters and the drainage down. So continue to push forward here. I'll pull this all the way over now. And you can see how once we establish the curb lines and the site concrete and pave some areas, it makes a big difference. You can really get a feel for the finishes, and you can see then just a couple of weeks how much it transforms. So by mid-May, we'll be on target to final pave the whole site. So in our next pavement will come in, we'll binder this, and then we'll final pave everything on site so that we can stripe it about a week later prior to the CO date. The only other kind of highlight, I'm going to try to jump over and show you a open space walk. All right. So now this is I'd be standing kind of the north side of the job. So you can see the generator was installed in the shed. And the nice thing I wanted to show you on from this angle was, as I move a little bit, is this east elevation. These panels are wrapping up now, but we basically have the east elevation exterior substantially complete. So you can see the fiber cement surrounds, the metal panels, the windows, and then even the metal panel detail work into these back exits off the west side or east side. So, and then if I spin around, this is where you can see the playground starting. to be established over here. This is going to be the basketball court on that east elevation. And then this guy here, this hard hat that you see here, that's actually Zach. So Zach's been operating behind the scenes all along, doing these walks for us for the open space. I don't have many photos on the interior at the time being, mainly because what I showed you guys last month, 2 weeks ago, was the gym floor in progress. We're about to wrap that up, but it's still in the point where it's not done. So if I took a photo, I want to wait till it's done with the striping down and the actual logo in place. But we do continue to push through. On Saturday, we had about 10 workers installing all the VCT on the lower level. And what started this week is just an inundation of the subs that do the finishes. So the window treatments, the toilet partitions, the lockers are starting up. So all those kind of like little finishing touches we're starting now. So we have plenty of time to get those done in May. The other big milestone that you really can't take a photo of and see, but we turned on permanent power to the majority of the panels in the building, which what that gives us is the ability to, and we did that Thursday of last week with an inspection from the town. That's allowing us to turn on all the equipment, mechanical equipment. So we're ready for DOAS startup at this point. We actually started checking the geothermal pumps, and those will be circulating as of Wednesday. We're going to put in the chemical flush required and start doing that process. So that's all underway. And then the startup vendors for the heat pumps and the VRF systems are scheduled as well. So that's the big next 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks is working through all that. And then all our kitchen equipment shows up tomorrow. So couple big ticket, items that'll really make an impact on the completion are starting. It's just hard to take a photo and show that progress. So it was just wanted to mention it, let you know we're on schedule, on track, and kind of have everything we need planned out for the next couple weeks to get us through to that CO. And I think that kind of wraps it up, unless open it up for any questions.
Rob, I just want to echo Graham's comments. Thanks so much for all your hard work and dedication. It's a testament to the way the project is coming together. That you've been a big hand in that, and I thank you for all you've given to the town.
Thank you very much. Very bittersweet. It's hard decision, but hopefully I don't come to regret it.
We'll buy a brick for the I don't know if we have. We're not buying bricks, but if we were, we would buy you a brick. Right?
I'll put my initials in some of the concrete.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure. Maybe
We'd have to ask him for the brick to borrow to then get back to him.
When's your last day, Rob?
This Friday, actually.
Well, with that emotional farewell, we'll turn it over to Adam now. Give us the update on the his parts.
Good evening, everyone. So kind of filling in the gaps between Rob and Justin. The commissioning agent has wrapped up their envelope testing. If you recall, not only did we have BBH Salas O'Brien to serve as the commissioning agent, but also to actually do some of the spray testing. So that has wrapped up. I think there's a couple areas that want to be retested, but at least the initial bulk of the envelope has been done through the town services for that. We have the first portion of the network closet, the internet and server up in that area lit. So in addition to that, we've got working on getting temp Wi-Fi throughout the building so we can start doing more deep dives on some of the pre-punch list items. So if you saw in especially in Tecton's field reports, there are additional items that they're flagging now that there's more and more to look at. So those will translate into hopefully a reduced punch list if we can QA QC these items and start hitting that heavy through April and especially May before we get to sort of a final formal punch list walkthrough for substantial completion. And just to kind of put some high-level dates to everything, the targeted substantial completion date where the town would effectively take ownership of the building and get their certificate of occupancy is targeted for the end of May, like we've kind of been alluding to here with the May substantial completion date for the building. Obviously, some of the punch list cleanup items would extend into June, as well as some of the site work. So plantings, anything not required for the certificate of occupancy would continue on into the summer. But that period of June is when we would start transitioning to some of the end users and their materials coming over to the building. So moves would be targeted for the end of June for the hundreds and thousands of bankers boxes with teacher materials moved over at the end of June. As Justin mentioned, we've had the kickoff meetings with some of the furniture vendors and sequencing through who's coming in where, our rugs getting put down first, that way desks can go on top of the rugs and not vice versa. All those conversations have started. So July 1st is when we're targeting the first waves of some of the furniture vendors. And then as a parallel effort, the playscapes are targeted for installation in July and extending to the first week of August. However, we're trying to see if we can start that up a little earlier just to allow for some more flexibility and availability for weather delays or what have you, not to impact some of the playscape schedule. So like I said, all that's everything everyone has said before has been generally aligned with what we're experiencing as well. It keeps moving on with the big items coming up being as Rob alluded to, the equipment startup for HVAC systems, and again these forthcoming bulk owner procured items for furniture and IT and the playgrounds. Other than that, we're working on cleaning up and submitting our 4th state change order. If you recall, all these ATPs that we've been approving at these meetings turn into AIA change orders, which then ultimately need to be submitted to the state for review for eligibility. So we're working on the 4th version of that right now, looking to submit that hopefully this week. And I've also been working on just some initial wave of budget and contingency log cleanup items here as we get towards the end. So we just finished all of our major furniture purchases. So now doing some of the cleanup on where the buckets of money are and pulling the extra money down to contingency so we can kind of get a clearer picture of what the project will look like at the end in terms of how much will be left within the budget when we finish the project. So I'll look to send something out to the group here in the next week or two as a sort of a typical financial update like we've been doing throughout the project. With that, I think I hit everything, my quick update list that isn't some of the items for procurement or invoice packet that we'll talk about here in a second, but happy to answer any questions.
Moving on to item number
5. All right, let me share my screen per usual. Good luck. Okay, so for procurement, the first item was in the packet listed as for reference because it was an item approved by Peter and George on an expedited basis in between meetings. This is that removal of the stone rubble and the tree stumps that we talked about last time, where the committee referred it to Peter and George to approve. So the value came in right about what we were talking about, just a little over 30,000. So that has been contracted for with Gilbane to start moving those stone rubble wall elements like Rob was mentioning. So no action item needed there, just reporting back out on that approval.
Yeah, and I believe you just update everyone, the Planning and Zoning Commission approved it by, or maybe you just explain the process you went through to
Yeah, so that was the proposal to remove the rubble wall was submitted and presented at an ACA meeting for the aesthetic considerations, where they voted 2-1 to approve it. Subsequently, the town planner met with the planning and zoning chair, and the determination was made that that could be approved administratively. So that application was submitted to planning and zoning to get that formal approval, but we've been coordinating with the planning department, and they confirmed shouldn't be an issue. So between that approval and the ATP approval, we should be good to go to remove that stone wall.
The rubble, you mean?
The rubble, sorry.
I don't think it was ever actually a wall, other than maybe the deed called it a wall. Probably.
It was a wall a
Yeah.
while ago.
Yeah.
All right, an item up for an actual motion to approve. We only have one ATP from Gilbane for this evening, ATP 89. This is what Justin was mentioning earlier, for $1,078, effectively for swapping out closers where the configuration was on the exterior, but they needed to be on the interior. Justin, I don't know if you want to elaborate more on that one.
Other than the way that the door schedule was written, had these mounted on one side of the door. And as I mentioned through the RFI process, we confirmed that these needed to be mounted on the inside. So I believe this part has the additional closers being turned over to the owner for attic stock, which closers are one of the items that you never can have enough of, from my experience, maybe Peter's as well.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it wasn't just a function of being able to flip around the closer.
Flip
and
them
reuse
around,
them.
right?
Right.
So that's why there's the added cost. Any questions on that one? I'll go through the other two procurement items and then I'll put the motions up because there's not too many tonight. The second item is the first of one of these small sort of informal ones. I won't say informal, but it's not a nice, neat, tidy quote or ATP or things like that. And we'll have a few of these as we go through the next couple meetings. This is for some kitchen sheet pans, and coordinating with Art Sickle, the food service director for the town. They have they have basically all of the pots and ladles or whatever they need to do the cooking within the kitchen from their existing facilities. The only item that they needed was additional sheet pans. So I've coordinated with the food service designer on some reputable services. They recommend just going through this one kitchen supply website. So this is what this would fulfill that request from Art Sickle to have for the new school. So that's just an item that we would procure through facilities, but making the motion here through this committee to authorize the funds, and then it'll just be charged back to the project.
This is an example. You can never have enough sheet pans. I assume that's what door closes and sheet plans. We got it covered now.
We've got a whole bunch of these kind of items to look at. Flags will be coming up here soon. So
This is super trivial, Adam, but we shouldn't be tax paid, right?
that's why it's listed as not to exceed. I just needed to get a quote, so I pulled this from the shopping cart, but
okay.
I'll pend it through facilities to operate however they typically do that. I can't pull out my credit card and buy it for the town, so wanted to keep it moving. Yep, I agreed.
Good catch, Woody.
The last item actually doesn't have any backup to it other than you'll see the litany of invoices here in the invoice packet in a moment. But it's essentially what should be the final increase in the authorization for our materials testing agent. Just based on the number of concrete cores and things that are required for the hardscapes in the building on the site, of which there are a lot, will exceed past the current purchase order authorization amount of 150,000. So talking with my construction rep about what's done and what needs to happen, proposing an increase of 30,000 against their hourly not to exceed value to get us through the end of the project on their site testing services. Again, most of it for the rest of the job should be just some limited concrete testing for some of the hardscapes, as well as testing of subgrade below those hardscapes.
Do you remember offhand how much we had in the original project budget?
It was at 150, so I'd pull this last 30,000 from contingency, which is not an overall concern for the purposes of the project budget, but yes, I'd pull it from contingency to this line item.
Yeah, well, money well spent, making sure the quality was there. So.
All right, I'll pause there because these three items would be all the items up for procurement this evening.
Any questions before we ask for a volunteer to? Do we have a volunteer who would like to read these?
Sure, I'll do it.
Thanks, Sharon.
Motion to approve ATP 89 for a change to Gilbane's existing construction contract in the amount of $1,078 for changes to the exterior door closers.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to increase PO 202-45658 for Tri-State Materials Testing by $30,000 for a new total of $180,000 for ongoing materials testing services.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve purchase for kitchen sheet pan small wares to Webstaurant, for an amount not to exceed $234.77.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You scroll down a little more.
Yeah, so now on to the last
Okay.
one's for the invoice packet, which I'll
Okay,
show on
got
the
it.
screen.
Sorry.
As an aside, Sharon, I had the same thing for that website name like 6 times when talking about it with a couple folks just leading up to today. All right, a lengthy invoice packet for this evening, mostly as you can tell from our testing lab, who was a little late in getting us some of their invoices for the past host of months. So extends onto the second page for the first time. But just going through typical monthly invoices from our commissioning agent, BVH, as well as the envelope testing that I had alluded to. There is still the blower door test that we have procured through BVH. So there's a kickoff meeting for that blower door test coming up shortly. I forget the exact date, but that's an item remaining outstanding on that purchase order. Monthly invoice from Colliers. There was a delivery charge from FedEx where we needed to change things mid-shipment. So there was an added cost for that, for some of the IT components. Invoices for the materials for switches. If you recall, there were 2 different approvals, an initial item from the bid and then a change order for additional switches. So those have come in, are being configured, and some are even installed in the building right now. So this covers that materials purchase item. 2 items for the access points, the wireless access points, which have also been received, as well as the licensing for those, and some of the server support that's been received. Monthly invoice from Tecton, and then I mentioned a whole litany of back invoices from our materials testing agent, as well as Gilbane's payout number 13 for just over 3.6 million for a total authorization of just a shade below 4 million.
Is that our highest invoice to date? Would we?
I believe so, yes.
Do we have someone willing to read this one?
I'll do that.
Thank
Motion to approve invoice package dated 4/21/25, including invoices from BVH, Colliers, FedEx, Omni, Presidio, Tecton, and Tri-State in the amount of $365,804.47, and construction pay requisition 13 from Gilbane in the amount of $3,610,635.24. You got it. For the total approval of $3,976,439.71.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that. Yes.
Thank you, Woody. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Any other, anything else, Adam, on your end?
That's it. I'm attempting to stop screen sharing, but It's not letting me. Oh, there we go.
Got
Okay.
it. Okay, moving on to item number 7, public comment. Raquel, do we have anyone else?
No, we do not.
Got it. Number 8, remarks. Anything else anyone would like to say before we make a motion to adjourn? Anything? In terms of, I think, it just reminded me, Peggy wanted to start thinking about some kind of a ribbon cutting thing. Just figures she's gonna take a few months advance notice, so I'm sure you can start thinking about what that might look like. I'm sure that Peggy will want to have the
Yep,
local.
now's a good time to start talking about it. So we'll bring it up and we'll start working on timeframes and logistics and that. It'll be a lot less muddy than the ribbon cut or groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once the
Agreed.
sod is all in, I'm sure it'll look pretty sharp with the sod.
Agreed.
Maybe we
Graham,
can
I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention, if I could, because I jumped on late, apologize for that. While Rob was informing you all that he was moving on to another opportunity. I wanted to echo what George said earlier. It's been great having Rob on this project, done an awesome job, set it up for success from the beginning. Hopefully he can make it back to the ribbon cutting. Hopefully his next employer allows him to do that. They happen to be another subcontractor of ours, so maybe we can lean on him a little to give him a day off to come down for that. And also wanted to say complete confidence in Zach to step up and take over for Rob. I think folks that have worked with Zach day in and day out on this project would agree with that, and also have confidence in Joe Halloran, who's coming in, as Rob mentioned, to take over for Zach's current role. So just wanted to mention that. Wanted to do it earlier, but I apologize again for getting on late. So thank you for taking a couple extra minutes on this meeting for the obvious thing.
No problem. Well, we know where you live, Nick, so you can't, and your kids are going to go to the school, so you can't afford to have this one go sideways.
No, definitely not.
Got it. Well, okay. Anything else? Any comments ask for motion for adjourn? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second
Woody?
it.
All in
Sure.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Take care. Thanks, everyone.